How's it going, everybody? Chris from Blu-ray Critic. Today I do something fun today and talk about some of my favorite Jim Carrey comedy movies, starting off with 1994's Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, and it's literally the film that launched his career in Hollywood. But of course, he had a film in the 80s that he did called Once Bitten, but he was famous for being on In Living Color with Keenan Ivory Wayans and Jamie Foxx, that comedy show. But in this film, he basically showcased his outrageous and comedic talent and catapulted onto the big screen with it. Absolutely adore this movie, and I love the scene where he's coming home from work and he's late on his rent, and his landlord's behind him, and he's up to his front door, and his landlord's all like, "Ventura," and then Jim Carrey's all like, "Yes, Satan." "I heard animals in there. I heard them scratching around." "I don't bring my work home with me, sir." I just absolutely love that scene. Hysterical. But yeah, we actually got this Blu-ray release in 2013, a bit late, but better late than never, as they say. So just an absolute blast of a movie. And of course, I have the original VHS tape, which I pretty much worn out. Really cool. Yeah, I used to watch this a lot in the 90s. So after this film, we had The Mask. And he actually filmed The Mask, or The Mask was released, I believe, before Pet Detective was. So basically, at the time, Jim Carrey wasn't as famous, so he didn't have that, request to get amount of money as he wanted. So they offered him 400,000 for The Mask, and he went with it. But of course, this is Cameron Diaz's on-screen debut. This is one of those type of movies just I absolutely love to watch any time of the day. I never get sick of it. I could watch it all day, every day, and still absolutely love it. So this is one of the movies, of course, I grew up watching. Here's the old VHS tape, which I worn out, and I remember every day I couldn't wait to come home from elementary class and watch this film. So yeah, kept it in pretty decent shape, I must admit. Even back then, I was always you know, weary about my collection. I never really let anybody borrow it because I knew most of the time if I did, it's gonna come out all chewed up like a dog bit off the end of the tape or whatever. You know what I mean? Like one of those type of things. I'm sure you guys let somebody borrow something where it came back in bad shape, but nonetheless, old VHS tape. So after this film, Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels came out in Dumb and Dumber, the original Dumb and Dumber film, an absolute classic. Unfortunately, this Blu-ray release is only the unrated edition. I don't know why we don't have the theatrical cut. I kind of prefer the theatrical cut versus the unrated. I just think the pacing is better for this edition. And here's the old VHS tape for this one. I actually prefer this artwork. I remember when the movie was released, and I would look at the newspaper ads, and this was the artwork with the show times or the theaters, where it's playing on the bottom. But really love this cover art, really cool. So I've had this tape since, since it first came out in the mid 90s. Really cool. And I don't think I know anybody that says anything bad about this film. Everybody just absolutely loves this movie. Just great on screen chemistry throughout. And this is the time where Jim Carrey was already balling in Hollywood. He was like one of the highest paid actors in Hollywood, in which he came out with the sequel to Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls. And I believe he got $20 million for doing this movie. And he was, one of the highest paid actors in Hollywood at the time. And at that same year, he also released Batman Forever, in which he played the Riddler. Really cool performance, and I really liked Batman Forever. Did not care for Batman and Robin, but of course Jim Carrey is not even part of that film. But love the opening sequence for Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls. When they do that spoof take on Sylvester Stallone's cliffhanger. Really funny. And there was really no holds bar in this film, and the comedy was just even more outrageous than the first one. Just a lot of crazy, funny scenes. Here's the disc itself for this one. But yeah, what can I say about Jim Carrey? He's just an awesome actor. I wish he makes more movies in this style, more often. But unfortunately, he hasn't really done much lately. Of course, he did the sequel to Dumb and Dumber 2, which I'll get into. So in 1996, we got The Cable Guy, co-starring Matthew Broderick, and it's directed by Ben Stiller, in which a lot of people don't know. Really funny, dark comedy. A lot of people gave this a bad rap when it first came out, and it didn't do too well in theaters, but really it's one of those type of movies where it did well in the home video market, and a lot of people tend to watch this one a lot. It has a lot of, rewatchability factor to it. I really enjoy this one. Really great performance. And of course, one of the first movies with Jack Black. He has like a small role in this movie. So next up we had 1997's Liar Liar, in which he plays an attorney, and his son wishes for his dad to not tell a lie because Jim Carrey and his wife, they're basically divorced in the film, and he feels like his dad always comes up with excuses not to see him. So on his birthday, that's why he wishes for him to not tell a lie. Really hysterical movie, and I remember seeing this in theaters back in 1997 too. I think I saw it at least a couple times. Just a really fun movie overall. But yeah, we also got this kind of late on Blu-ray because they had the HD DVD version for quite some time. But yeah, let me show you the disc for this really quick. There you go. And yeah. So next up we had Bruce Almighty, released in 2003, I think it was. Also co-stars Morgan Freeman and Jennifer Aniston. Really fun movie. Of course, they had a sequel for this one called Evan Almighty, in which I did not care much for the sequel. I just thought this one with Jim Carrey is way better. Really funny movie overall. Here's the spine itself for it. And then after this film, he did Yes Man, but to be honest, I didn't really care much for that one. And then he did more serious movies like The Majestic or Man on the Moon. And by the way, here's the old VHS tape for When Nature Calls. I even have this one too. Pretty cool. Yeah, I like holding on to these. It's really nostalgic, because you don't really see these anymore, at least being sold or distributed anymore. It's just one of those out-of-print nostalgic things to hold on to. So next up we have Dumb and Dumber 2, the sequel to the original Dumb and Dumber, which I feel like they made this movie a little too late, way too late, to be honest. It should have been released around 96, 97. I feel at that time they would have fallen to character a little bit at ease versus this 20-year gap. I just feel like they overacted too much, and the story wasn't that great, to be honest. With the daughter, they're trying to deliver this package to this daughter, and I don't know, it just felt weird. But overall, a really fun movie. Certain scenes kind of grossed me out, right? Like the granny scene. I really did not care for the granny scene that's in bed. I just thought that was kind of overly done for at least my taste. But I'm just glad Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels came back and gave us another sequel. Especially Jim Carrey, in which he doesn't really like to do sequels much. Although he did Ace Ventura. That's because the sequel, When Nature Calls, because he did get paid a lot of money to do that one. But he did this one for the fans, and I'm just thankful for that, we'll at least have another movie to watch him play the crazy role. But hope you guys enjoyed this rant. Just thought I'd talk about some of my personal favorite Jim Carrey comedy movies. And I'll see you guys soon in my next update. Take care.